Bottom left of Pearl Kingdom, the channel player for STX. He is
STX Soul 보거스.
Second show for Bogus. His opponent, of course, for the StarTale team. Longtime StarCraft 2 player, former player in StarCraft 1 as well. His idea is
StarTale Bomber.
played for Eastro in StarCraft 1.
Do you realize that they basically have the wrong colors?
Yeah, this happens
Bombers,
from time to time.
yeah, Bomber's shirt and everything, the headset as well, they are red, and in the game itself he's blue, whereas Bogus is wearing a black and blue jersey, and in the game he's resembled the channel player in the red color. Dude, it's sad. Should be a bit more flexible here.
Yeah,
GSL,
I was thinking the lobby host. I don't know if it was Heaven today. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think he could have definitely coordinated this better. Heaven probably is not even matching the socks right now.
Probably so.
Though, to be honest, sometimes I don't match my socks either. You know, how many people are really going to notice your socks being mismatched if you wear long pants?
Is that a trick question?
No, seriously. Sometimes I just match them and I'm thinking, you know, if somebody notices, I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, if you're
all right, Mr. Match My Socks over there. I'm so sorry. You don't have to look at my socks if you don't want to. Why are you looking at my socks, man? I'm wearing pants. You weirdo. You're like, look at my socks. You're like, excuse me, sir. I think your socks are mismatched.
You are
Those guys.
approaching this the wrong way, Wolf. If you only meet up with a couple of buddies, nobody will care. If you meet up with a few girls, they will realize that immediately, even if they don't see the socks, just by the way you move, they will be like, well, are you actually wearing the wrong socks today?
I say, no, these socks came like this in that case.
Well, good luck with that.
It's a new style. And I was like, yeah, she really understands, you know, it's like the new style. I didn't even know that. Next day, she wears her socks different because I was influential enough to convince her. That's how it is.
That's not gonna happen.
I'm like, I don't know, I'm on TV. I wear 2 different colored socks. Everything's fine.
Double gas now coming out for Bogus. He started with his expansion once again. Bomber, on the other hand, he wants to play this aggressive. We see a similar build to what happened, at least initially to what happened last time. He's going for the factory right away on 1 gas after he started with barracks first. Let's see if this time his attack will be a little bit more aggressive. It probably won't be exactly the same build, but he definitely wants to put on a heat.
Yeah, he's gonna do a Banshee span, it starts to look like, because he's getting his command center. Does get the second gas after command center. He's going to be able to use Banshees to pressure his opponent. As I said before, Hellions are becoming really popular in all matchups right now, though, in Korea. So he may do something with Hellions as well to pressure via ground, especially if he plans to go into mech.
Look at the 2 pictures that we have of Bomber and Bogus. They look like twins, man. There's the evil twin to the left, and we have Bomber to the right. 1 in blue, 1 in red. It's like exactly...
That's why they have the colors opposite.
It's like those jumpsuits that you get as parents if you have twins to tell them apart in the first few weeks.
I see what you're saying. I mean, just looking, especially because from where I'm sitting, it's hard for me to see Bogus, but I can kind of see the outline. They look similar.
I think this is a family reunion. Nobody ever realized it, but suddenly they will meet in the middle of the studio and they were like, is it you? Switched it up.
They have like the same build orders or something. The SCVs like pass each other in the middle of the match. They're like, I always knew. I knew you were out there.
It all makes sense now.
I always felt like I was kind of alone. Just waiting to meet you, brother.
You complete me.
Fake Cloak, by the way, Caduceus Reactor Research for a scan. Because at this moment in time, around 550 to 620 is where you normally see a scan for tech. So far, though, I don't believe see any scanning from Bogus. He's just not interested.
Yeah, he doesn't really care. He's going for his own starport.
Brotherly Hellions.
Yeah, the Hellions in the middle of the map, exactly.
There's the scan.
Can we agree on that Bogus is more of the evil twin?
Ready.
Well, I don't know, man. I watched that all-in from Bomber.
Yeah,
he seems more aggressive.
Yeah, but this trap was deadly. By the way, Caduceus Reactor has been cancelled, of course, after the scan was completed. So he sells the idea of Cloak being researched, and Bogus is going for 1 Viking now, but he doesn't set up any kind of turrets or goes for a raid.
The Raven is indicating that we're going to see mech, and that's why the second factory is started as well here. I think I think that this type of play on this map is really good because we've seen it before. The way the third base works on this map, there's a choke point at the ramp, and if you can control that area, that zone, you can really mess with your opponent with a heavy siege tank composition. It's hard to use bio. You can't really like get a surround on those siege tanks. Marines are in position, but if there's good control from Bomber, he's not going to care. Uh-oh, he's going to take out the last Marine. That was a lot of damage taken there. Bomber's going to have to go home with that Banshee pretty soon.
Calls it a day for now and retreats. The Viking will be out quite soon, and there is a Raven for Bogus. He really assumes that there will be Cloak. He saw the upgrade working at the tech lab earlier, but it was cancelled. It was only Caduceus reacting.
But Bogus could also go in second here. I think he will because he's not making any Marines. He's made a ton of Hellions already. His Hellion count is up to 8.
Yep.
So we are essentially going to see mech versus mech here. Bomber starts the pre-igniter, yeah.
Blue Flame coming up for him, whereas Bogus is headed into another expansion, and now double gas at the low ground. He's still dominating the map with all the Hellions that he has, but it's still, there is the double factory for Bogus. Mech versus mech.
And the thing is, Bomber has a better idea about what Bogus is doing because he's seen the massive amount of Hellions, so he's probably thinking, okay, mech for sure, but Bogus on the other hand, thinks he wanted to keep it a secret as long as possible, but Bomber hasn't really shown him any reasons to make Bogus think that he's going back. He showed the fake cloak, he hasn't shown the Raven or anything like that. Bogus is about to get his first glance if he goes into the base of what Bomber is doing.
And now we have Blue Flame still not completed, so if they fight now it will be Red Flame Hellions with Red Flame. Both of them now with a small addition here to the Vikings because they want to have this edge in the air battle, and of course now with the information that Bogus just got from the small poke, he knows what's going on.
So now they're both in the know. Bogus starts another Banshee, and the Viking count is fairly similar. Neither player takes a massive control of air. Everything in this game is really, really similar. The big difference, I feel, is that Bogus has his third command center up so much faster. When you go for mech, you want to have those 6 gases as soon as possible, really kick in with the production, get those upgrades out. Mech is gas expensive.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Bomber does not do anything that indicates that he wants to take a third base anytime soon. He's actually just moving out, but he needs the third. Is he sending a SCV out right now, or was it still left? No, just a Marine to poke a little bit. But if he wants to go for the late game, he needs a third base and get this gas up. This is exactly what Bogus is doing now. He has the command center on the low ground, will add the gas in just a few seconds. And Bomber is going for an armory right now, but he's still quite happy to just push out with the units that he has. His army supply is currently looking at 70 to 56, and he's trying to move in and force this orbital command off.
He has the pre-igniter advantage here as well. We're going to see point defense potentially drop. One Viking is sniped, the other one lands. He does not want to waste that point defense until it's absolutely necessary. Bogus is trying to buy time for his pre-igniter. Tank siege up here.
Yeah, the pre-igniter upgrade will... he's actually about to lose his Ravens if he doesn't pay attention. 1 point on defense drone has been dropped. The siege tanks are moving forward now, though. Oh, wow, Bomber is trying to commit here. He's moving in. The tanks are in position. Only 1 tank left for Bogus, and it's gone.
He's ripping through these tanks now with his own Hellions. Another tank comes out for Bogus, and it looks like he is going to hold this, and he still has third.
Exactly. He throws Bomber's army back, and now he is on 3 bases, whereas Bomber is just now about to take another command center.
It's only been started, you know?
Yeah, he finds himself in such an awkward position. Bogus can build more SCVs, he has more mules, he already has a saturation of 3 bases, and the gases, of course, what we talked about earlier, the refineries would probably be taken very soon for Bogus.
He actually may try to just take out this isolated siege tank force or bomber. It's a great position to stop Hellions from coming out of natural because it controls the choke point where those come out where the rocks are. But actually, he's considering going around the tanks and just fighting or trying to kill SCVs in the natural. This could be deadly. Caldery's going in. There is nothing at home. He lands 2 Vikings to try to slow this down. Bogus just needs to push his way through. He decides not to. He could have been
he doesn't
so
know.
deadly there.
If there's a siege tank on the high ground or just near the expansion, then he might lose all the Hellions without doing too much damage. So he doesn't have this information. This is why he just pulls back. But still, the position for Bomber is horrible.
Oh, this is a great choice of a Thor because now he cannot camp the starport like he wanted to. He does have that air control still.
Assault mode incoming.
Yes, and here they go.
He's fighting with the Oh no, that's a horrible idea. Yeah, it moves back immediately. One of the Vikings might actually now still surviving, but the problem still is the economy. All this extra gas for Bogus.
He's even going to delay the command center here.
Yep, takes down the SCV, and he might actually force a cancel.
Luckily for Bomber, he still has that command center on the high ground in his base, but all of his army is in an awkward spot in the middle of the map. And this is exactly what Bogus knows. He's going to come in here and try to cut it off. He's going to surround it and contain it. Once he's doing like the Anaconda strategy right now. He's going to squeeze his prey. The Bomber actually sees an opening with a scan here, and he's going to go into the natural. This puts Bogus in the awkward spot, but at the same time, he runs into Bomber's natural.
There are still siege tanks on the high ground for Bogus. Bomber is sieging up with his own tanks. Needs to be careful here though. Bogus even sacking his expert. Look at how many SCVs he's losing to the Blue Flame Aliens.
Yeah, both players dropping in SCVs. They're relatively even still though. 48 to 43 in Bomber's favor. He's landing some Vikings, and Bomber losing a lot of siege tanks here. He no longer has a high ground advantage over his opponent.
On the other hand, we have now the siege tanks sieged up for Bomber at Bogus' entrance. The ramp. The siege tanks just dying to the Hellions. At least one of them. He's able to do a lot of damage, but in the end, it's currently still Bogus who has more army supply with 55 to 41.
Bomber is barely mining from his third. Bogus is mining with everything at his. He's just going to pull his SCVs, take out these last two siege tanks, and his defense is done. Bomber, on the other hand, is struggling a lot here. He's pulling so many SCVs. The tanks are not dealt with. He's trying to use the Thors.
Yeah, the Thors are doing a great job here. He lost a lot of SCVs, but he's taking down every single siege tank, and he didn't lose a single Thor. This was really well done. Bomber needs to stabilize, though. He needs to repair his command center. There are a lot of structures burning for the Startail Terran. And this game is getting a bit crazy. Bomber has 4 command centers now, and this also means that he has way more mules than his opponent.
This is a really close game. That was a fairly even trade.
Yeah.
The funny thing is now we've got 4 Thors out for Bomber, which are going to be less useful later, but they're going to be really useful now when the siege tank count is low. So it's going to be hard for Bogus to figure out an angle of attack. Like, for example, these Vikings are not going to be able to do much of anything at all. He may actually force an SCV pull, though.
I actually think that those Vikings are brilliant, because now he can just bounce between the bases and go for the assault mode. There is what you just talked about, the SCV pull. Bomber has to move back, and if he loses a gas, this will just be so annoying, because this will once again limit his gas mining, which is so important with this composition.
Yeah, you know, I didn't realize Bomber had all of his units at his third. They were all over there. And now he's forced to chase these out. One Viking does fall, actually he's going to lose probably 2 here. Yeah. Actually, 3.
Yeah, another Viking dies. Only 1 survives.
And that was my concern, you know, because if he forced a pull, is it worth it to lose his air control?
The Harvest account is in favor of Bomber at this point. Those extra command centers that he had really came through for him. And this is just such an interesting game. The difference in siege tanks is being made up for by Thors now, but we have 10 tanks for Bogus and only 4 for Bomber.
Once you get over 10 tanks, the Thor count needs to be pretty high for you to actually be able to fight that straight up, because tanks just target down Thors so quickly.
12 to 6 tanks now. Both of them on 3 bases, and Bogus is moving in, but Bomber, he sees it. He moves in with the Thors, trying to get a few shots off before the actual battle starts.
Oh, excellently done here. If he can actually take out 4 tanks from backup, even gets a 5th one.
He didn't lose anything.
That was a sick trade by Bomber.
That was really great for him. So many tanks killed, didn't lose anything at all, not even a Hellion.
Yeah.
Look at the Harvest account here, 70 to 53. Bomber with a really nice income, but of course in gas they are even. Both of them on 6.
And the supply just remains dead even. Bomber with another command center. That's going to really help him push ahead in the long run.
Another thing that works in favor of Bomber now are his upgrades. He's already on his way to +2, whereas Bogus is just researching the first upgrade. The Blue Flame Hellions trying to sneak by and do some damage, and at the same time, we have Bogus trying to control the middle of the map in order to prevent things like this. But this is a pretty cool game.
Bogus took out a lot of Hellions just then. Meanwhile, we have a Blue Flame Hellion drop coming around the south. He's going to try to get that into the natural. There's no sensor tower in place at that location. Only at the third does he have that sensor tower. This drop could do a ton of damage. I'm looking now. There's actually no turret in place either. So he's even moving out of position. So this could be really a problem for Bomber, who's now also walking into siege tanks.
And a lot of them. Yeah, both of them are sieging up now. This is a pretty intense battle. I mean, now even the Thors are joining. The drop is going on though. He's going to drop, and now Bomber, with losing so many units already in this engagement, is going to lose more SCVs at the natural. They cluster up. If he gets a good shot up here, he might kill all of them.
One more shot will do it. Not quite able to do so, though.
But still, the harvester count is now looking pretty good for Bogus if you compare it. And the Hellions are still alive.
They're still alive, and they're going to go into the third. He goes in the main, pulls the force back there, then goes in the third. Yeah, he's going to lose all the Hellions, but he may be able to get some SCV kills here. He absolutely will.
Yes, there are no sieged up tanks. Siege tanks are in the vicinity, but they are not in siege mode. 56 harvesters to 62. The supply advantage for his opponent is so huge. Bogus is at 180 supply against 140. Bomber needs to be very careful, especially his army supply is suffering.
Yeah, that engagement going up into the high ground without a scan, that is one of the basics of TVT, and Bomber got a little bit complacent there. One of the basics of TVT is never walk where you don't know what's there, because if there are a line of siege tanks across the map that you don't see, you're going to take so many losses. They sieged up, of course, but Bogus took out so many of his army units there, and now Bomber has a fourth base up first.
No, it's actually Bogus.
Oh, sorry, I said that the wrong way. Yeah, Bogus has the fourth
double
base
Bs.
first. Yeah. It gets tricky.
Bomber has now a fourth on his own. The double gas is being built. He will have the gas a little bit faster, which is of course the most important part here. Bogus now adding his own Thors, but those Hellions sneaking past trying to sneak into the third base now. That could do a lot of damage. He doesn't have anything over here, or does he? A few siege tanks, but not a single one of them sieged up.
A very nice pull on the SCVs, meaning he minimized his losses, but still some workers lost, and this orbital has to live.
Yeah. Against this many tanks, he can't survive.
He's trying to hold on to it. He really wants this mining.
He wants the gas. He really wants the gas
He
here.
needs it desperately.
The army supply is evening out a little bit, but still disadvantage for Bogus, and it will be so hard for Bomber to overcome this. He built starports earlier, but Bogus now with the additional move in by Bomber, he finds a good spot, an opening where he can actually pressure his opponent and overcome the forces of the STX Terran.
Yeah, he gets that weak point. He's actually trying to come around again. Bomber leaves the tanks that are in range of the orbital on the right side to continue firing at it, but pulls every other tank. But Bomber, though, is in the know about this. His sensor tower spots everything, so he knows that now those tanks are a little bit vulnerable. This is such a positional game that we're watching right now.
Bomber now down in SCVs, which means that the army supply is nearly even. There is still a bit of an advantage to Bogus, but he only has 128 against 121 overall supply. Pretty close match here with +3/+3 coming out for both players at roughly the same time. Cloak being researched for Bogus now. If he uses those Banshees to force the tanks away, that would be awesome. But of course, with all those Thors around, scans would just reveal every single Cloak unit and allow Bomber to kill them.
The Thors are going to be so critical against this. He even starts 2 additional Thors. He's really liking the idea of having these Thors in this competition, which is pretty smart considering that an air switch is possible at any point in time in this type of mech versus mech battle.
Bomber is on 200 supply, he's close to 200, the same is true for Bogus. Bomber is still repairing this command center, he's trading minerals for gas basically.
Some great hits on these Hellions with the siege tanks. Bomber losing a lot of forces here. Bogus is adding extra factories as he knows he's really starting to build a bank right now, whereas Bomber is not so much.
Bogus is also sneaking into the third base once more. Blue Flame Hellions are coming out for Bomber to make sure that there are not too many SCVs being killed. He reflects the attack, but the STX Terran is building another base at the bottom right, and he is getting a bit ahead. This might snowball out of control for Bomber if this continues like this.
He's gonna get starved eventually. Bogus is already
tapped.
Yeah.
4 command centers and the starports.
He's doing that because he's already built a bank. It looks like he doesn't have a bank, but that's because he's already spending it. He's putting the infrastructure in place to make any sort of switch that he needs to make. For example, if something Bomber flies out with Vikings, he can make a ton of Thors if he needs to. If he needs to start taking air control to push with Banshees, if he sees his opponent is not making any Thors anymore, then he can make that switch if he needs to. He's going to start building that bank now. Area has 1,300 gas. Bomber is still sinking resources into keeping that orbital alive.
The entire time he is repairing it over and over again, and Bogus now with 1,400 gas has the means of switching his tech, of doing whatever he wants. Bomber is attacking though. He's trying to move in right now, and all those Thors reach out a lot of damage. Siege tanks are finally being sieged up, and Bomber is taking this army down. He's dropping supply, but
he's fighting into an area where he thought he was able to break through.
I thought he was able to break through.
Yeah.
I didn't see the reinforcement to the right, and there's the GG.
he broke that first part of the army, and I see why you feel that way, because if you look at just what was on screen there, which is exactly what Bomber saw, he saw, oh, there's a few tanks started here. The rest of the tanks were outside of the sensor tower, so he can't quite see what's on the other side. He walks up there because he thinks, okay, this is a weak point, I can break this, but in reality, there's more tanks back there he didn't know about, and he ended up losing. He knew he was behind, he knew he needed to break through, he took a risk, but it's Bogus who takes the 2-0 here.
Exactly, with the 2-0 he's able to take down Bomber. Look at this keyboard, by the way.
That is a pretty cool keyboard.
Black and white, and the red escape key. He didn't have to press it today. Bomber is defeated, is now in the up and downs, and Bogus advances to meet Happy in the third round of Code A. He might get a direct slot into Code S if he is able to defeat the LGIM Terran player. A pretty cool Terran versus Terran that we've seen. The first map was a bit, I would actually say, awkward. I mean, this trap by Bogus was perfect and Bomber walked right into it. Game number 2, a mech play on Cloud Kingdom, but this kind of buries the dreams of Bomber of advancing into Code S right away. Bogus has the chance now, whereas Bomber will definitely play in the up and downs, which just concludes once again what we already said in the earlier session today. This up and down session is going to be insane. So many good players already in the up and downs.
Yeah. Well, speaking of traps, up next we are going to have STX, another STX player. It's going to be an STX trap.
Yep.
And he is going to be up against MTW Supernova. We'll have that in 5 minutes. See you then.